that we call Jesus Slap. And it's kind of one of those things that, you agree to go to an event or a party, and you're like dreading it. You're like, this is going to be terrible. Pam may be there, and I don't have a good relationship with Pam. What am I going to do? And, you're like, and then you go to the event, and you go there, and you walk in, and Pam walks up, and she embraces you, and you're like, oh my gosh, you leave. And then I'll call my daughter and go, just got Jesus slapped. Want to know what happened? And so it's always something good that we need, right? Okay, so anybody that knows me well, not probably many in this group, I'm not a very organized religion person. I'm more of a spiritual person. And wake up praying sometimes. Jesus and I are really tight, but I don't choose to participate in organized religion. And so, with that little start, a couple of months ago, Tanya so graciously hosted an after-hours event for us, and we were getting to know different people and their businesses and everything. And so, one of the many things we do at the Dome is we teach energetics, right? We teach everything's energy. Everything, right? So it's kind of like, when the FBI, they train and they go into rooms and they start from the left and the right and they're looking for and they do that over and over and over until they become so good at it that they just walk in the room and they sit down, never with their back to the door. But they walk in that room and they train themselves over and over. They've trained themselves to do that with ease. So that's what I did. For years and years, I trained myself to read the energy of everything, right? That's all anything is. So I trained myself to read the energy of people and the rooms till I got to the point that I was really good at it. And I'd walk into a room, groups of rooms, you know how that is, you walk into a crowd and you're like, man, I gotta get out of here. And you start training yourself how to protect yourself and all of that good stuff, right? Okay, so that leads me to our after hours event. We had several people here that were there that evening. They were beautiful people. And I love meeting this group of people. And one of the things that we have said, Casey and Bonnie and I talk about when we teach, that if we ever got to the point that we should evolve in this earthly life that we have, and if we could teach at the level that masters teach, wouldn't that be great? It probably never happened. But we would sit in a room in silence. Because more energy is shared with what's not being said than in what's being said. That's where the true essence of everything is. So you walk in, and so I walked in that day different than I normally walk in. I walked in wanting to read the table because it's new people and I haven't met any of these people. And I walked in and there's a table full of beautiful people and they're introducing themselves. And there's one poor gentleman by himself. He was lone wolf at this table. And instantly, he doesn't know this. We've not spoken about this at all. True? Yeah. So I walked in and I just gravitated. And I'm like, man, he's got such a great feeling in him. Like literally his presence and the way that we talk about in all that we do about holding space. Anybody that teaches knows you hold space for the healing that needs to take place. This man stood across the table, much like he's doing now, very unassuming. He didn't say much. I didn't talk to him much at all. And when it got to be his turn, I'm like, man, I can't wait to hear what this man does. Russ Jackman, he says, I'm like, what's his name? Reverend. What? I'm like, wait a minute. At a bar. I'm going to throw that in, but that's fine. Yeah, so I'm like, Reverend. Why was I so drawn to this man? This is not something that I am usually drawn to, right? So we leave the event. Oh, I did ask him one thing. I'm going to try to make this hurry this up. So I did ask him after, not to put him on the spot, I seriously wanted to hear what he had to say. I shouldn't be drawn to what this man has to say. So I asked him, do you mind explaining to me what you think the difference is in religion and spirituality? He said it much more eloquently, but this is my version of it, and it totally went down the vein of his version. Religion is man teaching their interpretation of God. And spirituality is your experience with God, not mine. Okay, so my Jesus slap, for I will give it 6 months. We left the event. I talked to Tanya on the way home. And I said, guess who my favorite human was that I met? She goes, who? And I said, Reverend. And that's one man I listened to. So my Jesus slap was, we're not all, and I hate to admit that I went down that vein of putting everybody in a box, but I did. And so there's this man, I have no idea what he's going to speak on, but it is beautifully said by Ram Dass that we're all just here trying to help walk each other home. So when you can hold space by your very presence, we're aiding in that. So I don't want to put any pressure on this thing. But when Tina said to me, would you like to introduce Russ? I mean, he's your man. I said, he doesn't even know it, but yes, I'd love to. It's my honor to introduce the Reverend.